once you transmit the RACH request at any location, after that location of RACH transmission subframe, after that, during third subframe, देख मैं लिखा हूँ, for RACH response, you will check the RACH response window. What is a RACH response window? That I'll tell. RACH response window starts the frame में RACH response कहाँ से start होगा? Where from RACH response will start in a radio frame. But once you transmit the RACH request in a radio frame at particular location, I told how you will find that particular location to transmit the RACH request. Same way, in a radio frame you have 10 subframe. So where exactly you should check the radio frame for the RACH response? So that theory I am telling here. So RACH response window starts during third subframe after the RACH preamble transmission. Once the RACH preamble transmitted, whatever subframe, after that, during third subframe, after that RACH preamble transmission, means suppose I am telling example, say in subframe 1, say UE1 transmitted the RACH preamble. So in downlink frame, where exactly UE has to monitor for the RACH response? See, both are separate frame. I am making diagram the same frame. One is the uplink where you transmit the RACH request. One is downlink frame where you receive the RACH response. So once you transmit the RACH request, say in subframe 1, you transmit the RACH. What is the theory? Where exactly you have to monitor the RACH response? So what I said, during third subframe, after the RACH preamble transmission, RACH preamble transmit subframe 1, after then 1, 2, and third. This is during third, after the RACH preamble transmission. So from here, your UE starts monitoring for the RACH response window. UE will start monitoring for the RACH response from here. That is the fixed always. Once RACH preamble transmission, after that, during third subframe, UE will start monitoring for the RACH response. Till here it's okay? Anyone doubt, please tell me. Then we'll proceed about the RACH response window size. Till here it's fine? किसी को doubt है?
अगर सर if RACH preamble sends on suppose SF7 sir, subframe 7, then it's start with 0.
No. Then 8 हो गया, 9 हो गया, 2 खत्म हो गया ना, yes. Then next जो सब फ्रेम आएगा उसका 0 से स्टार्ट होगा. जो नेक्स्ट सब फ्रेम आएगा ना वहां पे 0 से स्टार्ट होगा.
समझ गए.
इवन तुम्हारा कभी कभी देखोगे ना, आगे हम देखेंगे संजय, कि योर RACH response can extend to the two frame as well. I will show you why, but the answer will come in RACH response window. Till here what I taught, that is fine na Sanjay na? Whatever question that will come later on, within 5 minutes it will come, that you don't worry. Till here what I taught, that is fine. What is RACH response? Where is it RACH response? We'll see. Correct here?
Yes sir.
Now what I'm telling, suppose RACH response you will monitoring start say in this example from here, but how long UE will keep monitoring for RACH response? How long UE will keep monitoring for RACH response window? There must be some size. Suppose RACH response start from here, so you will monitor a subframe 4 or subframe 5 only, or subframe 4, 5, 6, 7 only, or maybe also possible is subframe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then still continue in the next frame, subframe 0, 1, 2, it may be possible. So actually how it will be decided that your UE, one thing understand, it has to start monitoring for the RAG response from this location. But how long UE will keep monitoring for RAG response window? That will be given by the one more Rach procedures parameter. This parameter is called the array response window length or array response window size. This is again very important parameter. Array response window size or array response window length. Rach response window size. This will actually broadcasted within SIB2 when you are in idle mode, or RRC connection reconfiguration when you are in connected mode. They will, means E node, we will inform the UE that how many subframe UE should keep monitoring for the RAG response, and their possible value is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, based on their PDCH and PDSCH interference. The signal processing engineer find this value. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the possible values for the RAG response window length. Suppose I am telling in this example, I am taking RAG response window size, suppose network set 4. Then in the same example, what will happen? You transmit the here RAG preamble. I said during third subframe after RAG preamble transmission, your RAG response window start हो गया. Now here RAG response window size is 4. RAG response window size will define how many subframe you will keep monitoring to find their RAG response. So here in this example we take the value 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Means sub from 4 से start करेगा till subframe 7 UE will keep monitoring. Suppose Sanjay will give the value 10, means what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and next frame again 4. Because here possible value 10 is also possible.
Yes, sir.
So for RAG response, UE will check the RAG response window, and RAG response window starts during the third subframe after the RAG preamble transmission. But how long UE will keep monitoring the RAG response window, that will define depends on the length of the RAG response, this parameter. So RAG response window length will define the size of RAG response window during which UE will monitor for the RAG response. क्लियर है? I think now sure. Okay. Till here. Now संजय तुम्हारे क्वेश्चन का डाउट हो गया क्लियर?
सर क्लियर है सर वो तो.
Now we'll see. So this RAG response, where exactly UE will monitor, that you have seen. Where exactly you have to monitor for the RAG response. So if there is a RAG response, obviously your procedure will move to the next step. Problem starts if suppose there is no RAG response for you. If UE does not find a PDCCH with its own RARNTI, because you send the RAG request with your RARNTI. Suppose when you monitor this response window, while monitoring, UE is not finding its own RARNTI in the RAG response. It means there is no RAG response for you. Second option, you have RARNTI after monitoring the PDCCH, but then you have to see the PDSCH for the RAG response. But there is no RAG response for you on the PDSCH. So this will cause this UE did not receive any RAG response. So if you did not receive any RAG response, then what UE will do? So suppose if Rach procedure will get fail, then what your UE will do, that we'll see next. If UE does not find its own RARNTI within PDCCH in Rach response window, or if you find a PDCCS with its RARNTI but there is no match response within the PDSCS, for that UE, then it means Rach procedure is failed for that particular group. So if Rach procedure fails, to that UE, then what UE will do? Then what UE will do? In this case, if the Rach procedure fail, then what UE will do? So obviously UE have to retransmit the Rach pyramidal. We have to retransmit the Rach pyramidal. But before retransmitting the Rach pyramidal, means once the procedure get fail, so you have to retransmit the Rach pyramidal. But before retransmitting the Rach pyramidal, you will have to perform few steps. That step by step we have to understand that what you will do once the procedure fails. This is our target, that you have to retransmit the Rach pyramidal, but before retransmitting the Rach pyramidal, you have to perform some steps. What is that steps? First of all, I already taught you yesterday one parameter that is called the pyramidal counter. So that will keep counting how many times you have transmitted the Rach pyramidal. So you transmitting, suppose Rach preamble first time is counting, start with the 1. Then again if you transmit the next time 2, 3, like that. This is the use of preamble counter. So now your first suppose write request message, there is no write response. So it is fail for that UE, means you have to retransmit. So once you retransmit means this should be, your preamble counter should be 2, it should be increased. So now the first step, you have to increase the preamble counter by 1. So step 1, what you will do once the Rach procedure get failed, increase the preamble counter by 1. But once you increase, you have to check it should not reach the maximum number of preamble transmission that already network has informed you. So what should the maximum value of preamble counter? Because maximum value of preamble counter can be 3, 4, 5, say maximum 200. So E not be informed the UE how many times maximum you can retransmit the Rach request. So if suppose they are given the maximum time, for example, say 3, means what happen? Once you transmit first time Rach request, get failed, increase the preamble counter by 1, it become 2. Again fail, increase the preamble counter, it become 3. Can we again retransmit the Rach request? No, because already now you reach to the maximum preamble transmission value. What is the maximum value you not be given? That value you already reach. So always check whether or not your maximum, you reach the maximum allowed number of preamble transmission. So step 2, check whether you reached to maximum number of preamble transmission. So it has to check. If you already reached to the maximum transmission, then you cannot complete the procedure. You have to exit the random access procedure if maximum number of retransmission you really have reached. If you reached to maximum number of transmission, then you will exit the procedure. So how you will know what is the maximum number of retransmission allowed? So how you will know? You will know that about maximum value of allowed transmission of Rach preamble. How you will know? So that already said this value E node we will broadcast in SIB2 when you are in idle mode, or RRC connection reconfiguration message when you are in connected mode. Maximum retransmission of Rach request value is broadcasted in SIB2 when viewing idle mode. RRC connection reconfiguration when viewing connected mode. So UE will transmit this message, this value. So what is their maximum possible value according to the specification? So this is the maximum value that E node we can broadcast any one out of this value. So range of values, so possible value is the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20, 50, 100. These are the only possible values. So any one out of this E node will broadcast to you. So whatever value is given to you, UE has to retransmit the Rach request based on this value. Clear? Dhaneshwar. Clear? Fine.
Yes, sir.
So one more thing, once you have to transmit, you could say you transmit say Rach request, then you receive the Rach response. Suppose you could not receive this Rach response, then what will happen? You have to again retransmit the Rach preamble. So your mobile have to again retransmit the Rach preamble, but once your processor get fail, you could not receive the Rach response, so immediately you don't transmit. Sometime you have to wait, then you transmit the Rach request. So how much time you have to wait, that is called the back of time. So now we'll see about the back of time and back of timer. Back of timer. So so you have to wait to retransmit the Rach request until the back of timer will be expired. Actually, back of timer is set to the value 0 millisecond when your random access procedure will start. Means when you transmit the RACH request message, that time back of timer will start, and it will have some possible values. I will tell how the possible value will define. It will have some possible value. So we have to wait before transmitting the RACH response until your backup timer has expired. So what will happen? You have to wait before retransmitting the right response. So how much time you have to wait? So you have to wait until the backup timer has expired. Wait until backup timer expired. So when backup timer has just already started, so it will start, the backup timer will start at the random when your RACH request will transmit, that time backup timer will start. We transmit the RACH request, that time timer will start with value 0 millisecond. So once it will start, now they will have some specified value. Based on that, it will be expired based on that value. So what is that value? Actually, what is the value of backup timer? Because we will understand, okay, it will start with the 0 millisecond, but at which time it will expire? So that depends upon one more parameter. It's called the backup indicator. Backup indicator. It's called the BI. So this is the length of the 4-bit. 4-bit means what should be the minimum value of backup indicator in decimal and maximum? Sanjay?
15, sir.
Maximum 15, minimum 0, correct? So
0.
backup indicator time is 0, 1, 2, 3 से 15 तक होगा. In the specifications already corresponding to each backup indicator, one time has given, because backup indicator is not giving the, this value is not in the time, this value is simply in the your decimal 0, 1, 2, 3 like this 15. Corresponding to that backup timer value is defined. So in the specifications were given 0 means 0 backup time, here 1 means 10 millisecond, 2 means 20 millisecond, like this. It's given 3 means 30 millisecond. So here it's your E node B will transmit this value to your UE. It will broadcast the backup indicator value, not the time value. E node B will broadcast broadcast no SIB2 back of indicator value to the UE in SIB2 or RRC connection reconfiguration when you are using connected mode. So E node B broadcast this value SIB2 or RRC connection reconfiguration message. Depends upon when you are using idle mode or connected mode. Clear? So this much time your UE has to wait before retransmitting the RACH request. And again, you transmit the RACH request, start from the step number 1. Again, same story. Transmit the RACH request. Again, whatever I taught you about the RACH from the beginning, everything will be applied for the next transmission, if it will be failed. So now I hope you clearly understand what will happen if Rach procedure will get failed. Clear है संजय? गगन, सुमन, anyone?
Yes, sir.
So ये तुम्हारा Rach कहानी खत्म हो with some only basic part. So now in random access response, what you will get, you will send the again RARNTI to identify this is the Rach response for you. And at this time, at the cell level, E node B allocate the cell radio network temporary identifier. It's called the TCRNTI, temporary cell radio network temporary identifier. Why it's called the temporary? Because this is the RACH response for all the UE who has collided, because you transmit the RACH request. There are multiple UE who can transmit the RACH request. So for this RACH response for multiple UE. But at last, out of these UE who collided, and this step here, that will be solved. Out of these two UE who collided, उसमें से क्या करेगा? One will be allowed to continue your procedure, one will be again failed. So that time, whoever will be successful, whoever UE's RACH procedure will be successful, their TCRNTI become the permanent. So that become the called the PCRNTI. The temporary CRNTI become the permanent CRNTI whose RACH procedure will be successful. So now it will have only the temporary CRNTI. In the random access response, they will provide the resource to transmit your layer 3 message, but for this only you initiate the RACH procedure. So now you start transmission with the RRC connection request, because you have the already allocated with the resource. What is this RRC connection request message? That will see in the RRC layer. Then once E node B receive this message, E node B has given the acknowledgement to receive this message in the physical layer, and then they allocate the resource to transmit the again, because here RRC connection request message transmit, then you will get the acknowledgement about this message. Then obviously for the further procedure, means you transmit in future RRC connection setup complete, that we'll see later on. बाकी इसके कुछ मैसेज हम देखेंगे RRC procedures में. So they provide that resource information. So this message again we'll see there in RRC message. So that we leave right now. So UE contention resolution. This is the message related to your RACH. This is the step where your collision will be resolved. How? E node B will inform, because till here multiple UE receive the RACH response, but वो collided है जिसका, whoever UE has contention, collision of the RACH request, out of them one will be successful, one will be unsuccessful. So in this contention resolution, E node B will randomly inform, okay, this UE1 contention resolved, means this is successful, and UE2 who has collided with UE1, their Rach procedure is failed. He has to retry again. So that at this step your contention will be resolved. So for UE1, whatever the CRNTI has assigned here, that was temporary CRNTI, now that CRNTI become here permanent. So that CRNTI become permanent here and your contention has resolved and you continue with your procedure. So for again this contention resolution in downlink coming, this message acknowledgement coming in your PUCC acknowledgement within the UCI. This will be transmitted. So at this step you will get the permanent CRNTI once contention resolved. So like this way again UE2 जिसका प्रोसीजर फेल हो गया कंटेंशन रिजॉल्व के कारण, फिर क्या करना है? अगेन सेम स्टोरी, स्टार्ट द प्रेम्बल काउंटर विथ 1, wait for the backup timer. Once the backup timer expire, again retransmit the Rach request. Again same things what I taught you here. If it will fail, then what will happen? Same story. What are the steps we told here? If once the procedure will fail, then what we will have to do? Same step, step 1, step 2, 3. Now Sanjay, this is your end of Rach process. I told the complete parameter for Rach request, how triggered, what are the parameter transmitted, response, how response check, everything I said, how contention will be resolved. So that is now your people job कि आप कितने अच्छे से रिवीजन करते हो. So if anyone having doubt in the Rach, please tell me.
सर
हाँ,
कंटेंशन रेजोल्यूशन से एक बार और बता दीजिए कि अभी भी कुछ समझ आया नहीं मुझे.
कंटेंशन रेजोल्यूशन बहुत तो सिंपल स्टेप. अभी 2 यूई ने तुम्हारा Rach अभी in the contention based Rach procedure कहाँ गया? There will definitely ना some UE will be collided their Rach request. So अब दोनों UE का तो Rach process सक्सेसफुल नहीं होगा ना, किसी न किसी एक को तो फेल होना पड़ेगा. So there is a collision.
तो मेरा पॉइंट ये था कि जब वो फेल हो जाएगा सर ना, तो वो नीचे वाले स्टेप में आएगा ही क्यों? अभी जैसे आपने बताया ना कि कंटेंशन बेस्ड यूवी वो जो रेस रिस्पांस एक्नॉलेजमेंट है वहीं फेल हो जाएगा सर वो.
नहीं वहां से तो तुम्हारे दोनों यू के रेस्पॉन्स से किसने कहा कि सिर्फ एक ही यू रहेगा? देयर विल बी Rach रेस्पॉन्स फॉर द मल्टीपल यूई. आई सेड कि ऑप्शंस फेल होने के क्या क्या हैं ड्यूरिंग द Rach रेस्पॉन्स. सपोज यू डोंट हैव द रेस्पॉन्स फॉर यूई, वाज दैट टाइम हाउ यू नॉट विल डिसाइड कि इसके लिए मुझे भेजना है, इसलिए नहीं भेजना. इवन तुम्हारा आरआरसी कनेक्शन रिक्वेस्ट आल्सो मल्टीपल यूई कैन ट्रांसमिट. So if suppose there is no response for you, then fail will that time only. Second, one Rach response will have for multiple UE. Even their Rach collided, even though Rach response will be transmitted. But for all those UE, Rach response will be transmitted. If suppose your power level was not enough, then you cannot get the Rach response at that time. But whoever sent the Rach request message, E node B is responsibility to transmit the Rach response for all those multiple UE. If your preamble could not receive by the E node B properly due to the less power level, then E node B will not transmit the Rach response for you. This step in during the Rach response, your collision has not resolved. For resolving your contention collision, for that what will happen? That a step will be taken in the contention resolution. Why? Because you transmit the RRC connection request message. So for all those UE who has now layer 3 message, that is size is larger than the your uplink shared channel resource, E node will provide the resource to everyone. But at last, one UE contains and your Rach procedure for this RRC transmission will be Resolve. How resolve? Because both has collided, na? So both has collided means what? When RRC consent request transmitted, that will also collide. So what they will do? They will give the some time advance parameter. Okay, with this time advance, you transmit the next time RACH request so that it should not collide. So during the RACH response, they are called.
Sir,
Uh,
sir, how
yes.
how you know to decide?
I already said that's randomly. They will up within UE1, UE2 randomly they will decide. I said already. Between this UE who collided, randomly UE will select for any one UE and for rest of the UE they will discard.
Clear, sir.
Okay. So this please go through. That is very important. RACH is very important.